Now let's see one more scenario. So let's assume that a customer has ordered a particular product and we are trying to retrieve the quantity of that particular product available in stock. This quantity available can be none or 0 or greater than 0. Let's assume that when the customer ordered a product which is not at all part of the inventory, we get none value. And let's assume that if the product is part of the inventory but right now there is no stock, we might get this 0 value. And if the product is available in stock, then we'll get some value which is greater than 0, like 10 in this case. Even here I have given this value 10 directly, but assume that this value might be coming from some external source like a database. Now what we want to do is, if we have a valid quantity available, which means if it is greater than 0, then we want to print item available. If it is not, it could be none or it could be 0. In such case, we want to print item unavailable. And how do we do that? Just like in the previous examples, if the quantity available is not equal to none and if it is not equal to 0, then obviously the other possibility is the quantity available is greater than 0, right? So we will write the condition in this way: quantity available not equal to none and quantity available not equal to 0. Then we'll print item available. If not, we'll print item unavailable. Now we can write the same logic in a much simpler way by using Truthy Falsy values concept again. So here, if quantity available is either none or 0, then this quantity available will be falsy value. So this will be false, and so it will print item unavailable, right? But if it is a valid value, which means if the quantity available is greater than 0, then obviously this will be a truthy value, and so this will be executed. So both of them are actually doing the same thing, but this code is much more simple and elegant. So if we give a valid number like 10 in this case, and let's try to run this, we can see that it prints item available in both the cases, right? Now instead of a value greater than 0, if we have none or 0, let's put 0 in both the cases. Now what happens? This condition will fail, and so it will print item unavailable. Even here, value 0 is falsy value, so this will be considered as false, and so it goes to the else part and it will print item unavailable. Let's run this program. Right click, run. We can see that it prints item unavailable in both the cases. The same happens if we use none value as well. Now you might be wondering, what if we have a negative value like -10? Only numeric zeros are falsy values, right? Any other number, even if it is negative, is a truthy value. So in this case, -10 is considered as truthy value and it will print item available. But this does not make any sense, right? Because quantity can never be negative, isn't it? But why we are not worrying about negative values is that as per the problem statement, it is given that quantity available can only be none, 0 or greater than 0. So we are expecting only these kind of values from the database. That's why we are not worrying about the negative values. But in case if negative values are also expected as per problem statement, we can handle it by writing and quantity available greater than 0. But in this scenario, we don't need to worry about it because we are not expecting any negative values. All right. Now let's see one last example. The reason I'm showing a lot of examples is these are the kind of scenarios you might come across while writing real-time programs. So going through many examples will help you understand the concept much more easily and effectively. In this example, we have a variable purchase list, which is nothing but a list of items purchased by the customer. We will be discussing about lists in future, but for now, just think about list as an object which will have multiple elements, right? And this purchase list could be none or empty list or valid non-empty list. Here this value I have given is a valid non-empty list because we have 3 items inside this list, right? But the value assigned to this purchase list could also be none or empty list. Now what we want to do is, if we have a valid non-empty list like in this example, so we want to print items purchased and we want to print that list. And if purchase list is not valid, means if it is either none or empty list, then it should print no items are purchased. In this case, instead of integer or a string, we have a list. So how do we check if the list is a valid non-empty list? So first we have to see if the list is not none, and we also have to check if the list is not empty. Then we can say that the list is a valid non-empty list, because these are the only three possibilities given as per the problem statement. So we write the condition this way: purchase list not equal to none, and also the list should not be empty. So how can we figure out list is not empty? If the length of the list is greater than 0. Length function gives you the number of items present in the list. So if the list is non-empty, it will give you a value greater than 0, isn't it? In this case, it will give you 3 because we have 3 elements in the list. So that's how we can figure out if the list is a valid non-empty list. Then we'll simply print this message and the items of this list. Alright. But if purchase list is either none or empty list, like in these two cases, then this condition will fail, and so it will print no items are purchased, isn't it? Now, just like the previous two examples, we can use the truthy falsy values concept here as well. So instead of writing this condition, we can simply write if purchase list. If purchase list is either empty or none, these are falsy values, right? So this will be considered as false and it will print no items are purchased. But if purchase list is a valid non-empty list, like in this case, this is a truthy value, right? So this will be considered as true and it will print items purchased and whatever list we have. So we are actually achieving the same thing by writing this code. First, let's run this code with a valid purchase list. Now let's see what happens. Right click, run, and we can see in both the cases it prints item purchased and it prints the list of the items, right, in both the cases. But in case if we have a none value or empty list, let's see what happens. First, let me take an empty list. Here also let me put an empty list, and now if you see, so this condition will be false and so it will print no items are purchased. And here empty list is falsy value, so this will be considered false and it will again print no items are purchased. Let's verify it. Right click, run, and we can see no items are purchased. And it will be the same even if we use none value. Now with these three examples, I hope you got a complete clarity on how truthy values and falsy values are used. Now let's try to understand how not operator influences truthy values and falsy values. Not of any truthy value will result in a boolean value false. For example, here we have a is equal to 10. Now 10 is a truthy value, right? It is a non-zero numeric, so it is considered a truthy value. So not of a, which means not of truthy value, will give you false. It will literally give you boolean value false and not any other falsy value. Similarly, not of any falsy value will result in a boolean value true. Here b is equal to an empty list, so empty list is considered as falsy. So not of b, which is a falsy value, will result in true. I've added both these examples here. Let's run this program and see. This is the output, right, below using not. So not of a, which is 10, gives us false because 10 is a truthy value, and not of b will give you true because b is an empty list, which is a falsy value, and so not of falsy value will give you true. Now, how is not operator used while writing these kind of conditional statements using truthy falsy values? So here, instead of if purchase list, what if we have something like if not purchase list? Now here we are checking if purchase list is valid, right? If it is valid list, which is a non-empty list, then this will be truthy value, and so if block will be executed. But here this will be true if purchase list is not valid. If purchase list is empty or none, then this will be a falsy value and not of falsy value will be true. So if block is executed when this purchase list is not valid. Here if block is executed when purchase list is valid, right? And what do we want to do if the purchase list is not valid? We want to print no items are purchased, isn't it? So we'll put that code inside the if block. And what goes inside the else block? So when purchase list is valid, then what happens? This will be truthy value and not of truthy value will be false. And so it will go inside the else block. So it goes inside the else block if purchase list is valid. And what do we want to do if purchase list is valid? We want to print items purchased and the list of items, isn't it? Both of these actually have the same logic, but only that when we add not to this condition, we are actually flipping the if statement. We can even verify the outputs. Let me run this program, right click, run. So this is the output. So where is the output? Under this example 3 Pythonic way. That's where we have written both these things, right? So as you can see, it prints the same output. We have got the same outputs, only difference is here we have put a not to this condition. So in this case, we are basically checking if the list is not valid. So inside the if block, we write the code we want to execute when the list is not valid. So we have to flip the statements in if block and else block accordingly. That's it. Till now in all these examples, we are only using single values in the Boolean context. What if we have multiple truthy falsy values connected with logical and or logical or? If you remember from logical operators tutorial, Python uses short circuiting approach when we have a chain of and or chain of or operators. In the next tutorial, let's try to understand how short circuiting works when we have truthy falsy values. I'll see you in the next video.